Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we'll start with a moment of reflection, a moment of silence for the workforce members that we lost over the past 2 weeks. If we could wait about 2 seconds for everybody to clear out in the front with the noise, and that will be followed by an invocation by yourself, Mr. Mayor, and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us rise. Father, as we come before you tonight, we look to you for comfort during this time of sadness and bereavement. And we thank you for bringing your comfort while the pall of this time is upon us. We pray that your hand of mercy rest on us and each soul, specifically our families that are going through this time. We pray for each commissioner, every district. We also pray, Lord, for the governance and guidance of our administration, for our city manager. We pray also for the citizens of the city of Waycross. As you have already designed and desired for us to go to a greater place, we pray now that you will guide us with your eye where we should go and in what we should do. And at this time, we yield our thoughts and our will to your will, and pray that you guide us through wisdom as we handle the business of our city. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Let us look to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, City Manager, for calling for our invocation and also for our pledge. At this time, we will look to our city's clerk for our reading of decorum and then following calling of our guests.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor, commissioners, staff, and persons in attendance shall conduct themselves in a professional and respectful manner, except when expressly authorized by the mayor. All remarks, comments, and questions shall be directed to the mayor and not to individual commissioners, staff, or persons in attendance. A commissioner, staff, or person in attendance shall not speak at a meeting until the commissioner, staff, or person in attendance has been recognized by the mayor and granted permission to speak or ask a question. All comments, remarks, or questions made by the commissioners, staff, or persons in attendance shall address the item or motion that is being discussed or be pertinent to the resolution, ordinance, or agenda item before the commission. No one shall make or use inappropriate, insulting, vulgar, obscene, and/or profane language, or make any offensive remark or comments while speaking. Nor shall anyone accuse any other person of being immoral, violating any law, rule, or regulation, or committing any ethical violation. Further, no one shall use this opportunity for public comment to speak about activity undertaken for political reasons or ends, such as campaigning for votes before an election, campaigning for another person, making speeches, attempting to raise funds, etc., or otherwise promoting oneself in one's private position. Persons who wish to address the City Commission at a work session shall have the right to address or speak to the City Commissioners on official actions or other topics relating to the business or interests of the city. The Commission will not hear from persons, and persons will not be permitted to speak on matters or issues which are not related to official city business, matters or issues not under the jurisdiction or control of the Commission, matters or issues prohibited on an agenda as a public hearing agenda item, or on matters or issues which are traditionally reserved for executive session, such as personal matters and matters which are the subject or pertinent to pending or current litigation. Because time is a limited resource, and in an effort to hear from the public in the most efficient and effective manner possible, A total of 4 persons will be permitted to speak at each work session with a maximum of 3 minutes allotted to each speaker. Speakers shall sign up on a first-come, first-served basis. Failure to follow the procedures outlined herein may result in an individual not being eligible to address the commission until he or she agrees to the mayor's satisfaction to abide by the rules stated herein. Back to you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, I'm sorry. We have one. You want me to go ahead on into the,
Yes, you may.
okay. Elizabeth Pond is our first speaker for tonight, Mr. Mayor. Miss Elizabeth, if you will come to the podium. Miss Elizabeth is here, and her subject of comment is animal cruelty.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you, Commissioners. Thank you so much. My name is Elizabeth Pond, and I'm a voter and taxpayer that lives in the city of Waycross. I'm here to ask you to amend or do away with the ordinance. It is 1021 regarding animal cruelty and the tethering of animals, and to make that antiquated practice a violation within the city limits. The National Canine Research Council states that tethered and isolated dogs do not form strong bonds with people. The result is that in the last 50 years, 25% of dog bite-related fatalities are committed by chained dogs. Chained dogs suffer intense psychological damage, resulting in many of them becoming aggressive over time. Because they do not develop strong bonds, they cannot always tell the difference between trespassers and their owners. The Journal of American Veterinary Medical Association News advises, confine your dog in a fenced yard or dog run when it is not in the house. Never tether or chain your dog because it can contribute to aggressive behavior. Some people think a tethered dog will make a good guard dog, but because of the lack of bonding, this is not always the case. Studies have shown that dogs who have bonded with their families are much more likely to be good guard dogs. The USDA has stated, our experience enforcing the Animal Welfare Act has led us to conclude that permanently tethering a dog as a means of primary enclosure is not a humane practice that is in the animal's best interest. Tethered dogs have no protection against the weather, attacking animals, or stinging insects. Every year, tethered dogs die of heat stroke in the summer and freeze to death in the winter. Many dogs have accidentally hung themselves. Chained dogs are forced to eat, sleep, defecate, and urinate in a very small space. It is often a short and very painful life for an animal that should have lived for up to 14 years. Our present city ordinance has no limit on the number of hours an animal can be tethered. The state recommends 3 hours at a time. There are animals in our city being tethered 24/7, 365. In our ordinance, there is no clear-cut definition of animal cruelty, putting the onus on the animal welfare officers. The responsibility of defining animal cruelty clearly and concisely should be placed on the shoulder of city officials and communicated to the Animal Control Department in order to make their already difficult job easier. And in my research, I found out that Douglas has no law. They do not allow tethering whatsoever, and Jessup has a much more stringent, both of those cities have much more stringent shelter requirements than we do, and Jessup has a much better, they do allow tethering, but it is much more, policed much more better, is what I was going to say. Yeah, so any questions about that or anything?
Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
I do have a question, Mr. Mayor.
And this is what I'll normally say. This is just for your knowledge in the room. And I know that city manager is going to make some comments. Generally, during this time of our meeting, we do not have responses from the dais. If I speak, generally I'm going to tell you if there's a comment to be made or something to be said thereafter. We set up times where you can talk to your district if that's the need for you. But generally, we do not comment after a meeting or during a meeting. And there are several reasons behind that. One of which we've been taught differently. I know in some places there's this back and forth between citizens when they're engaging in conversation. We don't do that. Our job is to listen to you, get that information. Once the information has been received and retrieved, then if there is a need for research on the other end of that, then we do that research and then we give you a more plausible answer. It may not be pleasable, but it will be more plausible than it would be if we are to respond off the cuff and then misspeak and then later on say that's not what I meant or it's not what I was intending. So that's not the goal here. The goal here is to allow for citizens as guests to speak after they have spoken then the next person comes. After she calls their names, they say they have their 3 minutes. Once their 3 minutes is up, then I think we open up for at least 4 people. And if those persons come up, do 3 minutes, that's 12, then we move into our session. If there's something of a need for an individual to have a particular area to be covered or concentrated on, we can put that on an agenda item, and then that agenda item can have the discussion that the persons are desirous of having. But other than that, we don't have the back and forth. So if you, at the end of a speech, I understand people say, do you have any questions? That's fine to ask the question, but from here, we shouldn't give any question, comment, or any kind of statement after the statements have been made. Your statement is the statement. And then afterwards, if there is something that needs to be said thereafter, we will make certain that we either put it on an agenda item for another meeting, let you know when that meeting is going to be had so that you can be present to hear the response. If not, you can also find it on Facebook Live. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, just wanted to be clear. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to inform Ms. Pond, first of all, we appreciate you reaching out and staying dedicated to this task. It is a difficult task to do. This is on the retreats agenda. The Community Improvement Director has 3 courses of action for the commission to decide. And as part of this as well, we'll be raising the fines for those. While I mentioned the leash law, that's part of that, enforcing that. So the commission will come out of the agenda with a new way ahead for this, for your concern, as well as other concerns about how we treat our animals here in the city of Waycross.
All right, thank you.
We have Mr. Jenkins next, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Jenkins, if you'll take the podium, Mr. Jenkins, and if you'll state your name and address for the record. Mr. Jenkins is here to speak on the monument.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your service. I am Father David Blaine Jenkins. I live at 701 Brunel Street. My family is from here, helped develop this city. Jenkins Street, ooh, that's us. And I thank you, Mr. Rayford, for keeping our city streets so much safer. Thank you for hiring this man. He's doing a good job, and I have yet to feel any threat from a granite statue and a diffused cannon. I think that we need to go over some history. I just want to say briefly, I think I have 3 or 4 minutes, that I have a plan for our city to move forward. But firstly, we need to ask where this notice was sent to, and what date, and to what address, and whose ownership this is for this monument. To threaten history is something, well, I've had to come out of the House for and speak against and address. And at the turn of the 20th century, when these monuments were placed, it was a testament to all of American democracy. Modernity has tarnished this great achievement of us as Americans, each and every one together. And we have in Waycross the chance to be a quasar of love and peace and progress. One of my plans is to turn this into a theme park of 1880s, railroad town. We can't have traffic here. But the main thing is, the monument is a testament to our strength, our healing. Russia, China, the whole world at the turn of the 20th century were amazed at American democracy. I'm sorry. Desecration of the dead calls me out of the house. This is a terrible thing. Modernity has changed the role of the people that served their state. And it's as simple as that. It's just that simple. What would you do? Your state calls you. You're going to serve your state. It's much different times, much different mindset. But today, we stand for those honorable men and women, black and white, who served their state, who fought against a centralizing government, period. I'm proud to be from Waycross. I'm extremely proud to be from Waycross. We have a great heritage here, and that's what I'm here to preserve. This is part of our heritage. We cannot rewrite history. We can reapproach it and teach it differently in our schools, and that's what we're going to do, because we have to work together. And that is the only way we are going to progress as a city, as a people, as a populace,
as a nation, we're in trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Your time is up.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Mayor, we have Mr. Lockie. Mr. Lockie, if you'll come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, sir. Mr. Lockie is here speaking on the statute as well.
Hello, everyone. As most of you may know, my name is Larry Lockie. I live at 818 Sergeant Street. To Mayor James, the Commissioner, and the citizen of this great city of Waycross, to seek information regarding removal of the Confederate monument and cannon that the city of Waycross originally set to be removed in March of 2021. This action was decided by a 3-2 vote between our commissioner, city commissioner. Now I recall Mayor Michelangelo James that said that a private monument on public property is a violation of the gravity of clause of the Georgia Constitution, which explicitly says that the General Assembly shall not have the power to grant any donation of gratitude. Furthermore, a lawsuit was filed after the city of Waycross demanded the monument be removed. This privately owned Civil War monument. The legal proceedings was filed in Superior Court, but was dismissed by a judge in Superior Court of Ware County, Georgia. This leads me to ask, why should this Confederate monument, right, and statues continue to stand inside the city of Waycross property? Not only does it present violate the Georgia Constitution, but it's a painful reminder of the past filled with equity and injustice that we the people have worked to tirelessly overcome. I have come before you to ask that you consider taking a page from Brumley, Georgia, when they were faced with the comparable situation in 2022. Mayor Crosby Johnson listened to his constituents and fought hard for their voices to be heard. Georgia Appellate Court ruled that the group who claimed heritage of the Confederate soldiers are moralizing the Confederacy do not have authority in their claim in civil court, that removing Civil War statute would cause them monetary harm. Confederate soldiers and leaders were traitors under the definition of the United States Constitution, which defined treason, levied war against the United States, but they was not prosecuted for the crime. The Confederate behavior remind me of another group of individuals who attempt to overtake the Capitol on January the 5th, 2021. So we argue that this Confederate statue is part of a Southern history, but so is slavery, Jim Crow era, and the fall of many primitive black towns, Native American history. Yet these are slowly eliminated.
Thank you. Your time is up. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, this is a public announcement. For those who are speaking, you don't have to scream into the microphone. Everyone can hear you. It's making a double feed outside as well as online. So they can hear you online, and if you just speak into the microphone, they can hear you outside. We don't have to scream in the mic and hear. Everybody can hear you. Thank you.
All right, the next person is Mr. Malone. Yes, sir. If you take the podium, state your name next.
Yeah, I'm trying to just get some logistics together.
Oh, okay.
Shalom, my brothers and sisters. My name is Reverend Pharrell M. Malone Sr. I reside at 709 Jones Street. Good evening, Mayor James, City Commission, and the citizens of Waycross. I stand before you today to support the enforcing of the 2021 vote to remove the Confederate monument from Phoenix Park. This is not just about the statue. This is about what we as a city choose to represent in our public spaces. The courts have already made it clear the monument does not belong to the city of Waycross, so the question becomes simple. Why should something not owned by the city remain on public property maintained over time at the expense directly or indirectly of the taxpayers? We're not against history. History must be remembered, but there is a difference between remembering history and honoring it in a place of prominence. For many in this community, especially the African American community, that monument is not a neutral symbol. It represents a painful past, a time of slavery, division, and injustice, a time when people who looked like me were not valued, were not respected, and were not treated as equal citizens. Today, to walk through downtown Waycross is still greeted by that symbol, sends a message. Whether intended or not, it says the past is still being honored. I want to share with you that in 1984, I approached Troy State University. And Mayor James, if you can look up there, you can see, hello somebody. We removed the Confederate flag on Troy State's campus in 1984 because Troy wanted to be progressive and wanted to recognize that there is a time in which, yes, you can maintain your heritage and at the same time not force it upon everybody else by putting it in public places. The person up there is George C. Wallace. I worked for him in his cabinet, and the next person is Ralph Wyatt Adams. Next to that good-looking fellow right there, and next to him was the older gentleman, Dr. E.D. Nixon, who got Martin Luther King started in the civil rights movement and was the one who Rosa Parks called to get her out of jail. They trained me. That is Dolores Pickett, who was my entry into meeting those people. If Troy State University, that is now Troy University, sought in 1984 to remove, and they're in Alabama, to remove that, then it is time for us to be awakened. I want to thank you for your time, and Commissioners and Mayor, I applaud you and pray that you move forward with this removal. Thank you.
Are there any other bids?
No, sir.
Hearing none, we now move into our docket for tonight. It is in the hands of our city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we'll move into the agenda items. Of course, Mr. Mayor, the vision and mission remain the same. And I want to highlight here, Mr. Mayor, with the vision, the city of Waycross is a dedicated workforce enhancing quality of life while driving service excellence in support of citizens and communities. In light of we've lost 3 of our workforce members this last 2 weeks. So it's been difficult for the workforce, but they are driving on, providing quality service for our residents. Mr. Mayor, this is a city plan. It's midterm years 2 through 4. We're actually entering into year 4 as far as the plan. Everything is going well. We look to launch the new website in about 2 weeks, and you'll get a briefing on that at the retreat. And a few other things as far as IT service delivery that we're going to enhance for our residents. And then you see the long term. Mr. Mayor, we're going to the agenda items. I'm going to begin with Waycross 101. That will be conducted the same week of the retreat. Mr. Mayor, Waycross 101 program continues to move forward. It's a key initiative to improve transparency, resident engagement, and understanding of city operations. This program is structured as a week-long session, Monday through Friday, 5 through 7 p.m., providing participants with a comprehensive overview of the city functions. You see the schedule there. Monday is Welcome to the City program overview. Tuesday is going to be straight budget. We did change this agenda, Mr. Mayor, from the previous 2 times to better suit those individuals attending the training or the sessions. Wednesdays will be the city and community roles and responsibilities. That's highlighting our shared partners and mission partners within the city. And then Thursdays will be strictly for department directors' presentations. And then Friday will be the program wrap-up, and they will have a lunch. Those who attend the Waycross 101 will be a lunch with the City Commission during the city retreat. And again, our participants are receiving exposure to core operational areas, including public works, police and fire, water and wastewater, financial planning, and community partnerships. Mr. Mayor, the retreat, you have a copy of, I am hoping it's the final retreat. If the commission can, look it over tonight. If you have any more changes you want to make, please let me know this week so we can go ahead and close this out. Of course, the retreat is going to be Friday, 10th of April and 11th of April, both complete days, and you see there the topics. I'll read them for those who might be seeing this for the first time. Of course, we'll be going over the comprehensive plan. You will get a copy of the updated comprehensive plan later this week. I'm waiting for them to return me the updated version for our interactions with the county. Updated brief on House Bill 1116. I know there have been some changes. So later down in the agenda items, I will be speaking on the last version I knew of as of Thursday afternoon. I know we had some changes this morning, Mr. Mayor, you might be aware of, so you can maybe mention those during that presentation. And then you get your third quarter financial update. We'll go into 1030 code of ordinances. I mentioned that discussion. That's where we make all the recommendations to change many of our codes as the commission has outlined many of the things they want to change this year moving forward. To Mrs. Pond's request, that will be done during that time frame. Then you see you have lunch, and you have that with the Waycross 101 residents. Then we go into the charter discussion to make those charter changes that you all have already sent forward. And then you get the director's update for this past year. And then we'll have the dinner and commission feedback from the session. Then we'll come in Saturday, have breakfast. I will give you the yearly update, year-to-date milestones, wins, and areas for improvement. The infrastructure update, with highlighted some of our major projects we're trying to still figure out. We'll do a lunch, kind of bring it all together, and then the commission will do the goal setting for the next financial season. And I'll pause there, Mr. Mayor. Do you have any questions on Waycross 101 or the city retreat?
I do not. And I'm still wondering, I hear myself, but I don't know whether or not you all hear. I can hear you clearly on your microphone.
So the TV is on outside for those people sitting outside?
I understand exactly.
Okay.
And I know he came in and looked at me and asked me was my mic on just a few moments ago.
Okay.
That's why I'm making this comment.
Okay.
So on the other side of that, I don't have any comments, but the commission may have some. So I'll start with District 1. District 1.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. District 2.
Just a quick one, Mr. City Manager, will we have prioritized the things that we want done during this retreat?
Correct, Commissioner. And if you're asking about the charter, so it will be broken down into home rule and legislative. And then the home rule, we'll focus on legislative changes so you can take it with you when you go up this summer.
Very good. District 3.
No, sir.
District 4.
No, sir.
And District 5.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, can you explain to the public what HB 1116 is briefly?
That's going to come up in our next
Yes.
section.
Yes.
But go ahead and tell us what it means.
It is a provision right now to eliminate the property tax or cap it at certain levels based on city revenue coming in. And we, like I said, we have a presentation after this commission that we kind of go in detail. But again, they made some changes as early as this morning, and I made this slide deck Thursday. So we'll try to, once we conduct this briefing, we'll try to follow up tomorrow with an updated post. I know it's been some major changes this morning.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Next, Mr. Mayor, we'll move into a summary of the commission travel and training, as well as myself going to one of my mandatory courses to stay trained up. And we're going to start with the newcomers commissioners training. And we had, I believe we had 3 commissioners to go through that. And these are some of the summaries, of course. Let me go past that. The purpose of this training was to provide newly elected officials with a foundation of municipal government, ensure understanding the roles, responsibilities, and legal authority, of course, promote leadership and decision-making, and then support ethic and transparent government operations. Why this matters: it reduces the risk of legal procedural errors, strengthens commissioner, manager form of government, improves policy development and decision-making, and then it goes into state laws and best practices. Some of the core training topics that the commissioners received was roles of the mayor, of the commission, and the city manager, open meetings and open record laws, ethics and conflicts of interest, budgeting, financial oversight, ordinances, resolutions, policy making, planning, zoning, and land use. One of the first topics discussed was the commissioner-manager relationship. The commission sets policy and direction. The city manager oversees and implements the importance of that policy decision through clear communication, defined roles, and unified direction. They also went to a legal course, and doing that legal, they kind of talked about legal responsibilities, compliance with the Georgia Opens Act, compliance with Open Records Act, avoidance of ex parte communications, and then maintaining transparency and accountability. Next, they had received a financial oversight, just understanding the city's budget, the revenue sources, the role in approving budgets and expenditures, And important, you see those areas of importance, mainly with the importance of long-term planning. Mr. Mayor, they also received ethical leadership training. And the gist of that was just understanding conflicts of interest and building public trust. The next course they received, they had many courses for the new commissioners that went. Decision-making framework, just using data-driven decisions to make decisions using data. Community input engagement, that's town halls, surveys, and things of that nature. We do a survey twice a month. And the commission has started this phase of their town halls. I believe we started with District 2. We're going to have another one by District 2, with District 5, and then District 3, and then we're going to follow up with District 1 and District 4. Expectations for Waycross, just go ahead, far ahead, Waycross, and then the high benefits Waycross, just stronger governance, improved service delivery, reduce liability risk, and increase public confidence. All right, Mr. Mayor, next training and travel was my training. I went for the county and city managers course that we go to once a year. It provides updates on emerging trends, tools, risks, and impacting local government. And some of the key takeaways was, and I'll talk about my courses, I had a day-long class of straight on AI. So we got there at 7:30, we didn't get done to 7:30 that night. That's the focus they're putting on AI technology right now and how it affects municipalities. Then social media. I had a class on Wednesday, started at 8 o'clock, got done at 4, just on social media policy, which we'll talk about at the agenda. And then the last day, typically, the last day everybody leaves. This was the first time, I've been going my 3 years, everybody stayed. We had a 4-hour session on House Bill 116 and 114, and the significant impact that they will put on local revenue for municipalities, and we'll discuss that later on the agenda. So the AI boot camp for local governance leaders, hands-on introduction to AI and generative AI, two different things, Gen AI. And it taught us focus on practical use on government operations. Talk about how we could use it to our advantage as far as communications and transparency, which platforms to use, the legality behind the platforms, which we'll discuss at the agenda. There are new restrictions on AI that we were not aware of, that we are aware of now. Of course, it's a great learning tool, but it has some ethical and legal considerations that will be applied moving forward. And then how is AI relevant to Waycross? Right now, we use it to improve our customer service and communications. It helps us collect data. It helps us to get more efficient, and it kind of help us maintain responsible and ethical use. The next class I went to, Mr. Mayor, one of the classes I went to, Mr. Mayor, was municipality corruption, policies to people's overview, and it kind of discussed, it stayed in that level of cities. It says 10,000 plus, but 10,000 to 20,000 plus is considered medium to small size city, state of Georgia. So they kind of grouped us in that capacity, focused on corruption, how to prevent it. We had some real world cases that we discussed, and the outcomes of those cases were great class. And again, how it applies to Waycross, it just enforces internal controls, accountability measures, and things that we need to do locally to ensure that we don't fall victim to some of this corruption. Last thing, Mr. Mayor, well, next to last thing, was the social media community I trust. And we had actually a city manager, county manager, and city administrator come, and they came from Arizona and Texas. They seem to be leading the way in the Austin, Texas area and the Phoenix, Arizona area with how they perform social media. They actually talked about the city of Waycross. So if we can be seen out in Texas and Arizona, I see that's a good thing, as we use that as a primary source of information and communication with our residents. Talk about best practices, consistency, transparency, messaging, human-centered content, and again, how it works for Waycross, strengthening direct communication with our residents. We are one of the few cities in the region, in the district, as well as in the city that still allows open comments on their platforms. So we did get a lot of accolades for that, because it's quite difficult in this day and age now, as you mentioned about the back and forth with residents who might not understand the full context, and it's almost impossible to have a discussion over social media. And as you told me, I keep trying, but that's something we're going to look at the retreat about possibly closing down the main city page and keeping some of the other pages open for a comment section. But that'll be the decision of the commission. All right, Mr. Mayor. All right, next we move into the big question in the room. And again, for those who might be watching or hearing this for the first time, please do not hold us to this. This is constantly changing every day. Like I said, I did this Thursday with the information that I had, and it changed between Friday, Saturday, and then today it changed as well. So we will come back with a follow-up to these House bills, what's going on. And this presentation is not meant as anything but data and communications for the commission to kind of know what's going on from the meetings I've made for future decisions, and to also let our residents know the impacts it could possibly have if it goes into effect. So as many of you know, or that might not know, House Bill 116 is proposed property tax reforms, which will significantly reduce homestead property taxes at the city and state level, and it's going to have potentially adverse impact on local government revenue until they identify the new sources of revenue streams that have yet to be identified to fund city operations. I've said this many times before, the city operates on taxes. We don't have any other source of funding. Everything we do, service providers, police, fire, and public works, our big three, come straight from taxes. Majority of that is property taxes for those big three, for those who might not know how this works. So things that we kind of talked about at the training, really need to evaluate the long-term financial sustainability without having a property tax as a resource, and then how do we go ahead with strategic planning to get ahead. Some of those provisions they want to happen in 27, I think, start 27. I'm going to recommend to the commission that we start making cuts next budget year in preparation for that, which I'll discuss here at a later in the presentation to get ahead of that. Because if we don't make those decisions right now, we're going to be in serious trouble on the 2027 whenever they decide this new revenue. And I'll talk about what some of that new revenue is, consumption taxes, and how that will burden our business owners. We'll talk about it here at the end. So consideration of Waycross, as the mayor and commission do, keep monitoring legislative outcomes closely. Hopefully our state reps are communicating here with the city what's going on, and hopefully we're able to align future budgets with potential revenue changes. And now I'm going to go into the House bill, Mr. Mayor. This is the actual presentation. This is purpose. And then again, the overview of House Bill 116 proposed to significantly reduce property taxes on homestead properties across Georgia. While this may provide relief to property owners, it creates a direct reduction in stable local revenue sources used to fund core city operations. And we'll discuss that here shortly. Why this matters to Waycross. Property tax revenue is the foundation funding source that supports public safety, police and fire, infrastructure maintenance, roads, drainage, right-of-ways, code enforcement, community improvements, general government operations. A reduction in revenue will require the city to either reduce services or identify alternate revenue sources. Potential service impacts, the revenue is reduced. If property taxes revenue is significantly reduced, the city may be forced to consider public safety, reduce staffing or delay hiring, increase response times, this is police and fire, and limited equipment replacing, which we're already struggling with, but thanks to the SPLOST, we are catching up with our equipment. Public works and infrastructure, slower road pavements and maintenance cycles, reduce drainage, stormwater improvements, and deferred capital projects. And I'll put this all in precedence once we get down to the slides. And you see what it impacts on community improvement, and then our parks programs and quality of life. General operations, again, we lose this revenue. We're going to have to reduce administrative capacity. And then, of course, all our service deliveries will become slower. What would need to be reduced without replacement without replacing revenue, and currently we do not know what this new revenue that the state is looking to create would be. We would need to prioritize what we would have to cut. And of course, core life safety services will have to be stable as possible. Again, that's the police and the fire. Everything else, we have to look at reducing. All right, so potential revenue replacement options. And right now, Mr. Mayor, this is just thinking outside the box, but it's just a reality. To offset, the city would need to consider fee adjustments, business license fees, alcohol license fees, permits, and inspection fees. service-based fees, solid waste adjustments, utility-related fees, fines and enforcements, limited use on target code enforcement penalties. And again, operational efficiency. So when you get your budget update in April, and being full transparent, we know we have went over overtime already for our police force. We do have a gang problem and a drug problem here, so our police force will need to be out there at all times of the night. That's something I'm trying to figure out how to better manage. But the reality is, it's not going to go away until we get the problem totally solved, which will take some years. Some key considerations: fees and service charges are less stable than property taxes. Increased reliance on fees shift cost burden to service users, like water and sewer, will go up. Reduction in services can impact public safety and quality of life. Long-term planning becomes challenging without stable revenue. All right, strategic position. We got to monitor House Bill 116 closely. Advocate for local government sustainability. Prepare contingency plans for service prioritization and revenue restructuring. And you can read there what the conclusion is in the closing statement. What I'd like to do now, Mayor, is make this is kind of just broad-based any city. I'm gonna go way across Pacific. And it's something that's gonna be repeated, but this is way across Pacific. And this is going off our FY25 budget. So this is a quick way across revenue snapshot, put in context. Total generated fund revenue, FY25, 18 million. City taxes and licenses, that was 14 million. Property tax, that's 4.1 million. Property tax represents about a quarter of the general fund. It's one of the most stable funding sources. If the question is why, we can only collect certain taxes through certain means that can be only spent on certain things, and they can only be collected during certain times of the year. Most likely at the end of the year, when all the spending has already been done. Estimated financial impact scenario. Moderate reduction. We lost 25% in property tax. And let me clarify this. As you know, there's a cap in there that the cities can propose. At first it was 3%, then it went to 5% now, I think. It might be something else right now. We'll go back and look at that. But that's the cap that cities can do every year. And of course, in any cap situation, it will have to be voted on the year prior. So again, we'll be behind the 8 ball on these situations. So there you see moderate reduction, significant reduction, and severe reduction. If we were to lose all of the revenue, that would be that 4 million. So I kind of kept it in between, like, you know, in the middle. So public safety, and I'm already doing this now with my staff, we would effectively lose, and that's a misprint. It's not 10 to 15 police or fire positions. It's 10 to 15 police and fire positions. Knowing we got to keep them going, but we have to take a significant cut in their salaries as they make some more salaries. Of course, it would delay hiring. Overtime would be a strain because they still have responsibility to manage the city and increase response time because the fire department would be short. As you know, our fire department helps out all the counties, surrounding counties, because they are funded separately, only have one truck in most cases. So all 5 of our trucks are constantly out helping other counties. Utility support, let me go back, public works. Of course, the street paving will stop as soon as that SPLOST has been expended. Because they were looking to do away with the SPLOST, then of course we would not be able to pave the streets. It's just the reality of it. Something to be said out loud. And then some of our major projects that are in SPLOST for drainage and stormwater improvements, that will go away too as well. Utility support, indirect, just upgrades, and then we'll probably focus on to emergency repairs, and we'll have to prioritize that. Of course, community improvement, just reduce their capacity. In parks, it's the same thing. So if property tax is eliminated or reduced, what must be cut, the city will be forced to. And I want to make sure this is clear. It's prioritize police, fire, utilities only, and then reduce or eliminate. I go back to the words before, aesthetics versus operational concerns for our cities. So that'd be paving, beautification, community programs, and some administrative support functions. What they're reducing in reality will offset the $2 to $4 million gap the city will need to consider. And to put in its place right now that we know as of today, when they say consumption tax, a consumption tax is a tax that we all pay to buy something. So that's a sales tax, that's a business license, that's alcohol, that's a permit. That will significantly impact and burden one part of our population will be our business owners. So business license, alcohol license, permits and inspection, all that would significantly have to go up, and they will have to form some form of tax, another form of tax to cover that delta in there. Key risks. Property tax is predictable. We know every time of year that's coming in, and we plan that way for that. It is stable. The city of Waycross has, I think for the last 16 years, has rolled back on the millage rate. That means we try to keep it steady for the amount of tax that we collected for our residents. I'll kind of speak out of this. I know a lot of times, back to the social media posts, a lot of residents post stuff about property taxes being raised, and they have not been raised in 15 years. And that's something we got to figure out how to educate our residents on what a raise in property tax is, a millage rollback, and the value of a house, because it is all different. But it's important to understand that. So when the commission has to make this decision here in about a year and a half, it's no confusion on what's going on. And of course, our property tax is broad-based. Replacing it with fees would shift the burden to fewer users. Again, this would be our business community, service provider community, utilities community, in those areas. And again, it would create some instability with the revenue, and it would increase financial risk to operations. Mr. Mayor, I know it's a lot, so I'm gonna kind of pause there. I want to make sure that we got that out. And again, for those who have just heard this briefing for the first time, of course, if you use AI and go back and look, it will be updated a little bit because I did this on Thursday. I just wanted to give a quick overview of the impacts, and I think it's very important, of course, that our state officials come here and explain some of this stuff, because right now they're not really explaining it. That's not me taking a side, that's being honest, because we need to know what we're dealing with. We don't have a lot of time. You will approve this next budget here in a few months, but in 2027, if whatever we prove then, it might not be applicable by 2027. So I pause there for questions on this subject, Mr. Mayor.
I'll probably build on what you've been stating. Every Monday at 8:30, I have a meeting regarding these bills that come forth. Legislative Policy Council. One of the problems that we're having difficulty with right now, when the city is being charged like this, there's going to be a prohibition on whether or not we, as a city, can do certain things within our own personal budgets. This is going to come down more than likely in just a few, well, next week is going to be the last week of our Legislative Policy Council meetings. We've been meeting ever since January. I went over for crossover day, and when we went over, we were really concerned about this particular bill. It was two bills. There were two bills.
581.
It was House Bill 1114 and House Bill 1116. This has had at least 12 iterations, 3 of which we knew about, and then the other 12 were going through the back door, and someone just happened to hear conversations around it. We're thankful for Leona Rittenhouse, who works with the Georgia Municipal Association. She's one of our attorneys, alongside former Mayor Thornton of LaGrange, Georgia, who's now over the department. And he's been really helping cut out some of the problems we've been having. So they've been sitting before the House and the Senate having conversations. The problem we're having now, and I was going to read out to this, it says, this is going to prohibit all local governments from adopting a budget which will provide an increase in property tax revenue over the previous year above 3% or the CPI above. Now that just telling me off the top that there will be no more rollbacks. And if there are no more rollbacks, that means your increase will also increase your house unless you have homestead exemption. Now, if you may have 2 houses, 3 houses, but if you have those homes, the ones that do not have homestead exemption on them are going to go up, and you're going to be paying in a different way. Alongside that, this is going to require local governments to notify each one of the taxpayers, and the property is going to be in the jurisdiction that if it exceeds over the rollback rate, you'll find people having difficulty having penalties. They'll have five months to know something, 5 years to know something. So it's all set up in certain ways, basically to get the city. But the county is going to suffer as well. Because if you don't have those service delivery strategies in place, here's going to be the problem. We have a 2 rating for ISO. That means your insurance, the way that money works for you, you don't pay as much premium. Now, this would cut us and make us lose workers. If we don't have those persons, if we don't have firemen, and they can't make those times, the ISO rating goes up, and so does your insurance premium. So not only will you have it hitting your property, it's going to also hit your insurance. So this is why we're really doing this. I know next week, on the 30th, we'll hear our last conversation. But Sine Die is April the 4th. April the 4th. And what that means, that's the closing of when the bell rings, that's everything's over. We're hoping that this does not go through. We're hoping that this will not be going through for us, because now these small cities, we have cities that are 500 people in the state of Georgia. We have cities that are 2,000 people in the state of Georgia. If they're utilizing that money from that, we have 2 cities right now struggling because of their not being able to do their budgets. I think it's Hayhira and Quitman getting ready to be dissolved as no city anymore, unless GMA goes in. And I know there's been a good bit of conversation around that, but there are a good number of people losing their charters, losing their cities. And I know in the last few years we've had at least 3 cities already dissolved. So you're talking about 2 more cities. And this is happening because budgets have not been able to be kept up. And if we're illegal and we're not doing our jobs and we're not getting these budgets through, and I'm appreciative and very thankful for our finance director and our city manager for making sure we have that done. If anyone needs applause, they need applause, because they certainly have been doing a tremendous job keeping the thing floating and going. So to God be, I almost slipped off. But I thank God for this opportunity to see where we are, what we are doing to make the city of Waycross thrive and survive in the midst of these changes that are happening very quickly. And some of them are happening under the radar. And so when you're thinking about how much you're paying right now, just imagine it going up 15% more than you're already paying. And you can only imagine what that looks like when you keep going as this goes up and up every year. By the year 2028, everything will be stuck in space, and you will not be able to undo what has been done. Whatever they make a decision on in the House and the Senate, once they agree, because they're kind of like 2 big brothers, one won't allow for the other one to do something, so they don't always agree with each other. But when it gets through, we'll see what we come up with, but we pray that it does not go through on either house, or the House or the Senate. But I appreciate this tutorial and this briefing, because you need to be aware of what's happening. Because you go to sleep at night thinking one thing, but when you wake up in the morning, you don't know what's going on. And that's where we are. We don't know what's going to take place. He mentioned 5%. That's where we are. You were correct. It's 5% at this point. But hopefully it does not change anymore. So thank you for your presentation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Some just to go over a few things. So the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, it does fluctuate, and I would ask any resident to look that up, because if they tie that to that, and you heard us mention that plenty of times before, it's all about inflation, and we know inflation is skyrocketing as well, so that's a factor as well. And for the city of Waycross, we're 2/3 of the community are renters, so
That's right.
we need to understand where that burden will go at that point in time.
Well, I think we're up to 50. Are we 54% renters right now? Or what?
It's
Somewhere there.
2/3, yeah. I say 2/3, but
Yeah, one of the questions, now, let me say this to you, just in case you don't know. Please get in touch with Senator Russ Goodman
yes.
and also Whip James Pritchett. Talk to them, let them know what your concerns are so they can speak. They have power where they sit. They have the ability to talk things through and turn things around. So please talk to them regarding what's going on for our city. And I'm talking about City of Waycross because we're one of them. Valdosta is another. So all of us in this area, Douglas is another. So we're all in this area. We got to work together. And whatever happens to one will happen to all of us.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If there are any more questions on that subject, Mr. Mayor, we'll move on to the next item. Okay, this time we're going to go to the CDBG. These are action items, and this is just a little bit of housekeeping, Mr. Mayor. We have to make sure that, I'm going to read this verbatim. So all individuals involved in the city's 2026 CDBG application must comply with federal conflict of interest regulations. So key requirements: any employee, official, consultant, or agent who may be affected by the CDBG funding must fully disclose any real or potential conflict to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and they cannot participate in the project, depending on how that kind of goes. And then we must notify the Southern Region Commission if there's a conflict of interest. Prohibited actions cover individuals may not receive financial benefits from the CBD funded activities, have interest in related contracts or agreements. This restriction applies during service and 1 year after. So who is the covered? That's the city staff, mayor and commission, consultants, contractors, and partners who do work with the city. So that means consultants, and that means ESG people to those degrees who have contracts with us. Exceptions may be granted by DCA on a case-by-case basis with full disclosure, public notice, and legal opinion confirming compliance. That goes into the situation of the city staff possibly living in an area that qualifies, and they want to take part of the CBDG. And we're going to talk about that as the process goes along. If we have any of our city staff right now for the area, we don't have anybody that's looking to take advantage of this grant. Key takeaway: non-compliance can jeopardize funding eligibility. All right. Next, Mr. Mayor, no question on that. There's a resolution that we'll have to pass. That's again just housekeeping to go ahead and enact that grant. This is the police chief could not be here tonight. He's dealing with Lieutenant Jesse Lee tonight, getting him back home from Macon. So I'm going to brief this as much as I can. He did request to update our jail van. Now, our jail van, probably a bad name for it, but it has many purposes. So, yeah, it's actually a utility van. Let me say that. So, utility van. I'll make sure I change that before we post these slides.
Thank you.
So, this is a utility transport van with specialized equipment that will replace our current 20-year-old vehicle. It's not running right now very well. Certificate of wear from bumper to bumper usage. It's important to note that this vehicle has been estimated 1 year build time frame, so the funding will not be required until a later date in the budget cycle. I've already appropriated this money for FY. Well, it's appropriated for FY 27, but that might change based on a lot of factors. But right now we got a program for FY 27. I want to go ahead and get your guidance to go ahead and make that happen, so we can start that build process. Meaning, we'll reach out to them, they will start building. If it takes a year, we will pay them next budget cycle, and that will come out of the SPLOST 2023. The quoted cost to build is $10,790. And by procuring this vehicle through a direct build process rather than purchasing it from a dealer enterprise, the city is expected to realize an approximate cost savings of about $15,000, while ensuring the vehicle is properly outfitted to meet operational needs. So, and again, T. Cox could not be here today because he's dealing with team right now. So I'm just asking to get a vote on go ahead and move forward with that process, and then we'll go ahead and put it in play for next budget cycle. Again, depending on what on the outcome of a lot of decisions right now that could change next year.
Okay, so you need consent.
Consent.
Okay. I'll look to the commission. We'll start with District 1.
Yes, sir.
We have consent from District 1. District 2.
Yes, sir.
We have consent from District 2. District 3.
Yes, sir.
We have consent from District 3. District 4.
Yes, sir.
We have consent from District 4 and District 5.
Yes, sir.
We have consent from all districts. District 5 said yes, sir. So we are all in.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Police Chief. Thanks you as well. All right. Next, Mr. Mayor, we're going to move into. We have no privilege license renewals. We have no privilege license. We have no proposed ordinances. I think we're going to end up having 3 resolutions, but I'll check with this city clerk and city attorney on that. Is it going to be 3 resolutions or just 2? Just 2. Yeah, we have 2 resolutions, and then I will defer to the city attorney for her report if she has one.
At this time, since we've already reviewed House Bill 1116, that's when I was following very closely because of the impact it had on the city of Waycross. We've already done that presentation, so there's no further report at this time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll go ahead and move to my report. As again, I see we have some new, I heard in the audience is their first time attending or watching the meeting, so I'll go over this verbatim, and we have plenty of time right now. These are our zone coverage that our Public Works operates in. Zone 1 is Albany Avenue to Plant Avenue. Zone 2 is Memorial Highway to Scrivens Avenue. And on a side note, I'll cover this at the end. So right now they're working on Brunel as far as utilities for getting from pavement. They're gonna move to Scrivens and do utilities as well. Then come back and pave Brunel and then come back and pave Scrivens. Okay. Memorial Highway to Haynes Highway for Zone 3 and Zone 4 is Albany Avenue to Gilmore Avenue. This is the update for infrastructure this week. Mr. Mayor Commission, infrastructure teams are in Zone 2 and 4. Traffic is in Zone 4 and 1. Building maintenance is in Zone 4. Ground maintenance is in Zone 3. Tree, flower, and shrub crews are in Zone 4. Equipment crews are canal maintenance in Zone 4. Waste management is Zone 3. And Sweet Sweeper. Big Boomer, she is up right now. They got her up and running, so she is in Zone 3 doing work. We might get the other older sweeper up, but I'm not confident in that, so it might be time to let that one go. And of course, the commission graciously allowed us to purchase a new sweeper will be in at some point in time next year. Engineering projects on Dirt Street paving ongoing. Lee Avenue culvert replacement, I think they started actually doing the culvert today. Of course, designs and permits, still reviewing plans and conducting grease trap inspection, which that will be a updated policy decision at the retreat. Trying to get ahead of that. We still continue to have issues with our grease traps from our business owners as far as cleanliness. City maps being updated, and of course, water sewer department, the water leaks and repair, meter repair, and putting out locates for future projects. Special projects, MLK and Quarterman, I think they have put out the pipes for those areas. They should be starting tomorrow. And then, of course, I mentioned the Lee Avenue cover. Special topic history, which I would like to touch on at the end, reference the monument. Streets and dirt roads paving, I just mentioned Brunel Street and Scrivens. It had a March 1st start date, so we got a little bit behind schedule on that, but we're picking that up starting next week. Dirt road paving, you see there, those streets are, we're pretty much done with curbing and utilities, and they should start doing that pavement sometime in the next few weeks. I know there's been many questions about why we don't pave more. You know, we're only dealing with 2 companies, unfortunately, and they're paving everything, so it takes a while. We don't have any other companies that normally bid. We had other companies that bid, we could do a little bit more. I talked about Quarterman Street, Thomas Street. I did declare that an emergency a while back before we had the new commission, but we got behind on that project. So I do want to follow up on that. It is a, those that are familiar with the project, it's on a residential area, and we need to go ahead and fix it before it collapses. And I think I sent y'all the cost, but I'll make sure I follow up with y'all at tomorrow's meeting on that project. And the water waste treatment plant is ongoing. Mr. Mayor, this is a new slide. Been trying to figure out how to better communicate our roads, as far as our paving roads, and we're gonna add this addition that hopefully translates better for our residents if they look at this on Facebook or our website or through our app or through our email push, those that are signed up for that. So again, for those who have seen this for the first time, the city utilizes a structured, data-driven methodology to prioritize road improvements, ensuring resources are allocated where they will have the greatest impact. Key inputs include road condition data. We have a robotics program that takes core samples, so we get the oldest roads first, and engineering assessments. Traffic volume usage patterns, we get that from GDOT. Safety considerations, always a consideration. And then drainage and infrastructure needs. So just for those who might not know this, we do not pave over bad utilities. Every paving project requires that we do utilities first. We'll make that clear for everyone that might not understand that. Our prioritization strategy, roads are prioritized based on condition. Worst roads first approach. They're not done by districts. If we do it any other way and we don't hit the worst roads first, we're gonna pay a lot of money later on. So we're trying to get all the worst roads first. We've done about 19 roads over the last 2.5 years. And then connectivity and traffic impact, public safety and infrastructure readiness as far as the drainage and utilities. For those who are looking for the first time, you can go to our website. You'll find a complete list of the next set of paved roads to be paved, which is 100 of those paved roads, and then all the dirt roads. That's on the city's website, waycrossgeorgia.gov, on the engineering department tab, down to the bottom right. On the right is the next set of roads to be paved after Brunel and Scrivens, and that's 20 roads that are there. They rank next in scoring to get paved. Of course, this can change based off of some decisions coming up with the House bill, but this is what we're going for right now. Commissioner, you can be mindful that we still got to follow the mandate and get the dirt roads done first. So like once the dirt roads are done, I anticipate, and we can start some of these roads using other funding, but it probably won't be until like at the earliest 2027. That's by the time we have all the dirt roads complete. All right. And again, for those who are not familiar with this, you can go on our website. It's a detailed narrative explaining to you how we come to prioritization of these roads. Or if you got questions, you can get with my office. I can explain it to you, or engineering department, or our BIS department, Business Integration and Information Systems Department. They can explain this to you as well if you have questions about your road. The complete road list, 514 streets and roads, is not on the website. We can't fit it there right now. But if you got questions about if your road is not visible on the next 100, you can come to my office or get with your commissioner for email, and we'll send you where your road ranks on the prioritization list. And I pause there, Mr. Mayor, for any questions on that. I know it's a new slide on recommendations.
I'll look to the commission at this time. District 1, did you have any questions?
Yes, sir. I think you got by me. But Quarterman Street, where you say we was at on Quarterman Street?
So I know they put the drainage out there. I seen the pipes when I rolled by. It should be starting today or tomorrow,
Okay.
depending on weather.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Commissioner. District 2 and District 3,
No, Mr. Mayor.
District 4,
No questions.
and District 5.
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we will post this on Facebook immediately following this meeting. For those who is first time watching, these are our collaboration projects that we have with GDOT. Pedestrian hybrid beacons at 520 and Gallatin. They're outside design phase right now. I got to still check on that. I got a different email this week. For those who don't know, I try to send emails to GDOT twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays for updates as far as these projects. The hybrid beacon is pretty much having the red color versus the yellow color as far as the lights. GDOT 520 support from Stevens to US 1 Pro is in the program, and it's moved to the concept development phase. These are the raised mediums. These are putting those mediums down the middle of 520 and at some point down Memorial to cut down all of the frog hopping and crossover as far as vehicles. And this is very important because as they started on the Ozzie Davis overpass, we're going to have all our traffic go down to 520, and we have to figure that out as soon as we can. GDOT, that's Highway Forward, 520 again, program and move to concept development phase, raised medium. US 1 to plant. That's with the planning office. It's now moved to the design phase. Mr. Mayor, this was the recommendation for them. They would resurface Ozzie Davis for us if they were allowed to reshape the traffic pattern to mirror Albany Avenue. Meaning you have one set of turning lane and then one lane either way. I think when we voted on at the time, the commission gave a support letter on that. However, we have a new commission. If that needs to be changed, I kind of let them know immediately. So we'll talk about that during the retreat as well. And then that's kind of outdated for the overpass. The bid was awarded. It had a 2026 start update. If had done 80% of the demolition on Ozzie Davis, and they're doing some other things as far as right-of-ways and moving some utilities, but that project has started. Here in about 30 days, we'll put out information on alternate routes and some other initiatives to help people kind of get around that construction area. Right now, we're looking at the longest 3 years. Could be shorter, but we're going to say 3 years. And again, that's why we are trying to do other things to include the train app to make life a little bit more manageable for our residents as they travel, either coming from the county to the city to the county, or moving throughout the city. Mr. Mayor, this is our codes department update. The commission, you received last Friday the actual updated list of the individual codes violations, and as far as unsafe structures, miscellaneous, the blight, overgrowth, and demolition to date. And you know, right now, as far as the demolition, we're going to start on Ozzie Davis in about 30 days and start doing those homes that we discussed a few months ago. All right, Mr. Mayor, it should say March. Keep forgetting to change that. These are how your taxes applied. This goes back to the conversation about the House bill, where our taxes go. And I'm glad we had some people in attendance today so they can better understand this, hopefully, and have better discussions about this amongst themselves. So SPLOST 2023, we're expected to collect 17 million. We're actually at 6 million right now on collection. We got to maintain 1 million as far as inflation and overtures for the Ozzie Davis overpass. So on your finance book, you might see that 6 million cannot be spent. It has to be there for overtures. We spend about for roads and streets. It's actually about 600,000 right now of the 5.7 million appropriated. Vehicle purchases, we got 4.5 million appropriated. The park repair, the 300K have been put in separate accounts for each commissioner, so you have an extra 60K for your parks and your park and recreation for equipment upgrades and things of that nature. Infrastructure, 6 million appropriated. Of course, the blighted properties, we have 550,000 appropriated, and like as I mentioned a few minutes back, we're going to use that to refocus on what buildings we knock down and have a more strategic approach to demolition. Property taxes year to date, and Greg, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to say we're at 4 million to date on that as we get close out to the end of the year. Local sales tax, we're actually at 3 million. Business like alcohol permits, we're actually at about 750,000. And then again, for those, I kind of keep the same. I need to change that month, but for every month from your taxes, service taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, we pull that money out, and they provide services through our departments. For police services departments, for salaries and benefits, every month we spend about 400,000. For fire department, we spend about 350,000. Public works, about 300,000, and then support staff, everybody else, salaries and benefits, a little bit over 200,000. And again, 75% of all taxes go directly to citizen services that are provided by the city workforce. All right, Mr. Mayor, this is what's new, how to stay connected with Waycross. Again, for those who just arriving for the first time, we have multiple ways to contact us. You can sign up with Civics Plus, and you'll get an email notification, a text message, and a phone call through our emergency alert system. Anytime we put out information, you get routine updates. Anytime we put out updates, you get those 3 means of communications directly to you about almost anything. That includes emergency alerts, certificate notifications, utility notices, water shutdowns, accidents, train stoppages, all that comes through our system right now. And how to sign up. Paper forms were included in water bills a few months ago. We're going to do that again for the month of April. We're going to send it back out again for those who have not signed up yet. And then we encourage everybody to kind of sign up. You can also follow the city's webpage, our Facebook page, through our app, and our monthly report that we put out every month. So I ask everybody to stay connected on that. Mr. Mayor, the last thing I'd like to move in, since we got a captive audience today, and I know this is a sore subject with the monument, I'm just going to spend a few minutes here, just because we have right now the ability to have some shared understanding and some communications about what the city was trying to do. Maybe it came out the wrong way, and because we feel so strongly about certain things, I won't get to legality of who owns and all that stuff. I'm talking about what we were trying to understand. One of the speakers mentioned a few things about how we all see it differently, and that's something I think the other speaker, he's left. But if we're really concerned about like a true unity, then we got to understand if somebody disagrees with you. And I'm gonna ask a few questions. So, when I first got here, Mr. Mayor, I sat down with some residents, and you remember that you was there as well. We sat down and had a whole bunch of hot, heated debates on the monument and a few other things that happened in the community. So I ask you today, just those that are sitting here today, and this is being transparent and just being honest about stuff. I'm gonna read this for those who might be listening. So if the monument represents heritage to some, as it does, how do we also acknowledge that the Confederacy was tied to slavery, which it was, and ensure that the full history is part of that understanding? So I'm not saying that we demonize, keep demonizing those people, ancestors of people who had slaves. That's not what I'm saying. But that is part of it. That's the reason they defend certain people. So if we want the full context of history, how do we do that? And that's just an open question for everybody. I think somebody mentioned about the location. So what we were trying to do, and the initial conversation was, do you believe the location of the monument matters? And if so, how do we balance? Honor and heritage, which nobody's against about doing that, while ensuring public spaces feel inclusive and welcoming to everybody. And right now, and I know some of you sitting here don't agree with that, but everybody don't feel inclusive coming downtown. And I've mentioned this many times before. The goal was getting here was to have a thriving downtown, which leads to economic growth. Now we've done a lot of work with that, with our downtown. Our shootout to the Downtown Development Authority caused many other problems. You know, we get calls every weekend about parking and other things, but those are great problems to have. We went from 3 restaurants to 12 restaurants. We also have night entertainment now. That was all part of the plan to do that. So again, there was never about minimizing heritage, but we do want everybody to feel inclusive. And I made a statement, and I will own what I said. You know, I did go back and talk to some of the older residents here in Waycross who are in their 70s and 80s, who grew up through Jim Crow, who grew up in Waycross when they were not allowed to come downtown or come to City Hall or come to the movie theaters. And that's why they don't come downtown. And I didn't understand that at first because I was small-minded. I've been in the Army 30 years. We're a lot tighter in the Army than we are here in South Georgia. But we need them to come downtown. We need them to buy businesses downtown. We need them to shop downtown. We need them to help out with the First Friday. And again, all that's being monitored by investors looking on the outside, looking in for growth for this community. So that was that part of that. And this last point, if some residents see the monument as history and others experience it as a reminder of injustice, how should our community thoughtfully together weigh in on both perspectives? You know, being transparent as a leader, you know, is your advocate, is, you know, we're supposed to take the bullets, not the bullets, bad word. We're supposed to take the chest shots on these hard conversations because they need to be had to get to a better resolution. And like again, it's not to dismiss anybody's point of view. I got my own personal view of everything. So I'm just asking, how do we do that? Some people have made since the original interview, the original posting, we got some good feedback from a lot of agencies that really gave us some good solutions. And we'll talk about those at a later date when we are allowed to, once we get past some of the legalities of this. And then again, the goal is to preserve history, relocating the monument to a setting with fuller context. To me, does not seem like a loss, but opportunity for both honor heritage and deeper understanding. So, like I say, when I first got here, I met with the different groups. We didn't get anywhere because we were yelling and screaming and shouting. We're still doing that right now. I would ask that, you know, you can feel strongly about it, but be respectful. And right now, I don't hear anything as far as respect outside of this is what I want. And what you think and how you feel does not matter. And I will say this, because I'm 52 years old. I had a grandfather, so I'm just going to explain how it does affect us. Even though I wasn't a slave, even though I didn't experience Jim Crow, I watched my grandfather experience it. And we had to go 2 separate fairs in Toppleton, Georgia when I was a small child. And they called my grandfather words I would not say now, and did things to my grandfather. So I am impacted by it more than you might not be impacted by it, but I am. So if we're truly concerned about having a united community, at least respect that. You ain't gotta like and agree with it, but at least understand that. I think from that point, we sit down and talk, and we move forward. And last point, like I said, our downtown area, every year we try to figure out, and Commission, y'all know this, how to make downtown better, and we never do it. We got people in the streets, they can't park, they can't bring vendors. We kind of hover in this location with our fireworks, everything we do. So that was the main goal. If that monument is here, a museum, a cemetery, the Heritage Foundation, anywhere else, those who wanna learn from it can learn from it. It's still in the books. We all got phones. We're not taking history from nobody. You can look up history you want to look it up to. Back to the AI comment. It's always going to be there. It's not going away. But if you love Waycross, and this is a united community, then let's have a real conversation about everything. And I'm going to stop there, Mr. Mayor, on that subject. We do have an executive session, Mr. Mayor, before you close out, turn it over. It's going to be on litigations at this time.
Very good. with the comments that have been made earlier, I did make some a notation. If you're interested in House Bill 1116, would you show me your hands for a minute? You want to know what's going on with your property taxes and all that kind of thing? Okay, what I will do, I'm going to make sure that you can go onto our website, click on the Georgia cities, where you can go on and see how the bills are progressing, the various things that we've said today. It may have been more on a, I would say, a high-level overview of what's going on, but you can get in the weeds if you want to. So you can go in there and look at each piece and see what's going on and what's happening for your community, and specifically for our city of Waycross. So looking forward to that. And so it will be House Bill 1116 and Senate Bill 382 on property taxes. And then there is a piece on, at least two pieces on land disturbance. So where they're going to do some permitting, because they're sending down rules on how to permit things. So that's going to be another piece. And it will affect cities all over the state of Georgia. So all 537 cities will be affected. It's not just going to be one group of people. And with that, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for litigation.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion for going into executive session. That was Commissioner Simmons. And then, do we have a second? Yes. We have a second, Commissioner Nelson. All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. We're going into executive session. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
That's okay.